Hey, this is Professor Triplet. We're back. We're going to create the next piece, which is kind of like the cone piece that connects to the body. And I've got that piece right here already duplicated off. I'm going to need to grab this edge here. That's the first thing to do, and then I'm going to go back to my left view. Okay, so just a note, while you were gone, while I was off camera, if you will, I went ahead and did some house cleaning and renamed some stuff because I let it get away from me a little bit. And I also went in here and made some extra layers so that I can, have a little more control of visibility. Let me go ahead and close that for right now. What I want to do now is just take this edge that I just selected and extrude it. So let's extrude it all the way to, I'm lining it up with this outer edge right there. I'm going to click on this little blue icon so it goes to the center, and then I'm going to click on this scale icon so I get this blue icon in the middle, and I'm just going to scale this out. Now typically I don't remember it jumping, but maybe usually it stays in line with this, I thought, but I could be wrong about that. Okay, so anyway, let's keep going. The next thing to do is just repeat this function. I'm going to scale it out again so it gets to the edge of the reference out here. So I'll just hit G on my keyboard, hit this little blue icon again, and then I will hit the scale, and then I'll scale it out uniformly from the center, and that looks pretty perfect. Okay, the reason why it's not right next to the body at this point is because I'm going to thicken it. So this is pretty good for right now. And the next thing I need to do is actually go into my perspective view and add in a few edge loops. So let me explain how we're going to get this thing to wrap around this cylinder right here. So I'm going to go ahead and just hide a few things first. Let's hide this, and oops, hide that, hide that, hide that. Okay, we just want this out, and this cone being out is just fine. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take this piece and we're going to select just the verts that we want to bend, and we're going to bend those with a bend deformer, and that's going to go onto this cylinder. So what we need though is, since we're bending this, we're going to actually want to add in a few segments in here so it bends nice and evenly. And let's go ahead and just we'll go to our verts. It doesn't matter which mode you're in. We can go ahead and just snap this to the circle. Snap this to the center. Make another one here, like so. And I think for right now, that should probably do it. If we wanted to, we could go ahead and also bevel at this point. So let's just grab this and do a little bevel on it. And let's actually add one segment in there. And before we get out of there, I should probably look at the orthographic layer. So let's go ahead and go to our left view. Make sure that this is matching. So X-ray, that's what I'm looking for. All right. It's pretty close. It looks a little bit bigger. I'm not too worried about that because we're going to bend it, and then we can look at it after we get the bend done. I would say that I probably need to grab all of these verts and just move them a tiny bit more this way, like so. And then go ahead and come into my perspective view, and I'm going to actually add another bevel in right here. So let's go ahead and just bevel this as well. We want to make sure there's enough segments in here because when we bend this, we want it to be balanced and even. So I'm going to go ahead and just do another bevel, and probably not so far. One more segment, and actually that's probably pretty good. Let's look at it now from our left view. Yeah, that's following pretty close. Looks like it's a little bit different. I don't know if that's anything to wave a stick at, so that's an old term. All right, so let's just go back to object mode. I'm going to go ahead and just delete the history really quick. And I'm going to actually go ahead and I should be able to thicken this right now without any problems. Let's just do a extrude and do the thickness like so. And so now you see how far I thickened it, just negative 0.1. But what I wanted to do is get it so it was just touching the cylinder here. And then I'm going to go to my verts. Oh my. All right. Let's go to the verts. That's why it's actually better to use your hotkey for the verts, so then when you're trying to do the selection, you don't get those problems happening. I might want to grow my selection just a little bit. So let's just go ahead and grow my selection. Maybe one more. Thinking that might be okay. We'll find out. If it doesn't, if I need to use less verts, I'll just undo what I did and try it again. So let's just save the file really quickly. I'll close this. Okay, so now here's where we put our bend on, and then we will go ahead and bend it to the other piece. So let's go ahead and just go into our deformers here and our nonlinear deformers and just put a bend on there. Now the bend initially is facing the wrong way, but the first thing I want to do, let's just put that on first. I'm going to go ahead and go back to my channel box and actually put a little bit of a curve so I can just see which direction the bend's going. Okay, so let's go ahead and we definitely need to rotate it on, let's see, that would be the Z axis actually. So 90 on the Z, and then that would then be the X axis, I believe. Nope, take that back. I think it's the Y then. There we go. Okay, so kind of hard to see with the X-ray on now, so let's turn that off. And obviously we are reversed in our normals, but that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and go to a top view. And so now we can play with the bend and bend these verts right to where we want. So let's go ahead and just hit the curvature here, middle mouse drag, so that we can just bend this thing right where it's supposed to go. And that looks really good. So let's look at it now. This is the whole purpose of using these deformers for modeling, is that it would be really hard to actually model this in that curve shape like that, but the bend makes it so much easier. So let's go ahead and just, I think that's pretty good. Let's go ahead and we will reverse our normals here. So reverse. Oh, gotta select the right thing and make sure you're in object mode. And then reverse. Try that again. There we go. Okay. Now, I know I'm going to need a few extra segments in here, so I am going to just lay those in right now. So let's go ahead and go to my cut tool. Oh, doesn't know what to cut because I don't have my object selected. There we go. So cut, and just hold control, and I'm going to make this one pretty tight like that. And so it's pretty close to the edge there. It's going to cause a tight bevel. And I'm going to do the same thing there. And then we hit F4 on the keyboard. I'm going to put another one right here. Okay. And then I'd actually want to do one on the back side too. So, I mean, eventually we can actually delete out the back side right past this cut I just made. We can delete the rest of it out because we don't really need it. But it was just easier to create that piece like that. Let's see here. So if we go back to our shaded, let's hide this for right now. Oops, that's what I meant to do. Okay, so let's go ahead and just delete the history because I think we're good with this bend. We won't need to use it anymore, but you know what? It's a good idea to smooth this just to see what it looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and just hit F3, click off of it, turn off our wireframe and shaded. And yeah, that looks slick. That's nice. So I think I'm ready to just delete the history. That bend will have nothing to do with it now, and we're in good shape. Let's go also, I should have done this before I deleted the history, but no big deal. We'll just delete it again. Just soften those edges. So now That's how it should look. So if we're being, if we were being like, well, let's say if we were in a scene that we needed to be really light on the graphics card and on the CPU, we could delete out this underside. I'm not going to worry about it. 2 reasons. 1, I want to show you a little trick for unwrapping, and 2, I'm not worried about this being low poly at this point. That's something, if I was doing a game model, I can worry about that later. So let me show you how I would unwrap this. So this is very similar to the cone right here, but I'm going to show you a different method. So very easy. Just pull out your UV editor, grab all your faces, and just put a single planar unwrap on it. You don't need to do anything else. Then put that on it, and then come in here. This is 2 more steps, so it's real easy. Just double click on this edge, which is the edge we're going to choose to break the model at. And you know what? I can, since this one's so close, I'm going to just double click on this edge. Let's do it there. Break the model there, so then that way our UV or our textures will be unified through that corner. And then we'll come over here and we're just going to do a cut. So if you've been following along, you know in the older Maya, the cut tool looks more like this, but we're just hit the cut. So now we should have this thick edge right there. We should see it here. Yep. All right, so then all we need to do now is grab all these faces. Let's grab all of them and just unfold. So use the regular 3D unfold, won't change anything, and there we go. And so those 2 things are unwrapped. Just FYI, this is not the best scenario. You probably want to move this a little bit further off. Just, that's called padding, well, padding is actually in the textures when you're baking textures, but you want to give a little room for padding, let's put it that way. So we're going to do layout, and see, the layout's what's causing these to get so close. So just move it up a little bit manually, click on both of them, scale them just a tiny bit. It won't matter because we're going to lay these out later anyway. I just wanted to make sure that you know that your UV shouldn't really be on top of each other unless you want them to be. So I mean, there are times where you actually use the same UV space to be resourceful with your textures, but in this case we're not going to worry about that. Okay, so there we go. That's that piece, and if you can imagine some of these other pieces like the back handle and the side piece, we're going to use some similar techniques on how we bent this to wrap around this thing. So we'll see how those go in the upcoming videos. Thanks for watching.